Hi, and welcome back to O'Fallon Life on Air podcast. Everything O'Fallon happening here live on either Spotify, YouTube, or iTunes. Today we are joined by two of O'Fallon's finest, Patrick McKeehan, the Director of Economic Development, and Alexis Jaegers, who works in that department as a special projects person. And thank you guys for both being here. Today we are going to discuss economic development incentives and what that means. Patrick, you recently just gave a presentation to the O'Fallon City Council at a recent workshop about O'Fallon's economic development incentives and what that means, how it works. That presentation was tailored towards the elected officials. Hopefully this is a platform for us to explain that to our residents, our listeners.
I appreciate that very much, and be able to get a little more into detail about what these things are.
Right. So again, thank you guys for both being here. So we'll kind of get into it. So what are economic development incentives, and why do we use them, and why do other cities use them in the first place?
When we get right down to it, they're basically tools. Either they're financial or regulatory tools the governments use to induce or support or encourage the attraction, expansion, and or retention of businesses. And with the long-term goal, and why do we do it? The long-term goal is to create job opportunities for our residents and create wealth within our community. So, for businesses to thrive, for individuals to have the type of services and products they demand. And so that's all part of how a government can help make those things happen.
Okay. And can you give some examples how O'Fallon has used them?
Yes.
Two-part question, how we've used them in the past,
and
then what were the results of those incentives?
There are a number of good examples of how we use incentives. And let me just say that, we use them with the idea that everything is going to be a net benefit or gain for the community and the taxing districts that are supported there. And so, MEMC is a great example of, they recently did a major expansion, built a 60,000 square foot building, invested a couple $100 million in new equipment to produce silicone wafers for the chip and microchip industry. And in doing that, we were able to help them with a $300 million Chapter 100 bonds, a tax abatement tool that allowed them to have some cost savings that enabled them to help make that project happen. Aldi is another good example. Aldi warehouse needed to expand. Costs continued. That project started around $50 million. By the time we got that project done, it was a $100 million project.
Wow.
Creating 80 new jobs. We use economic development tools, incentives to attract Dynaflex and Cosmos to our communities, both headquarter operations, creating around 350 new jobs in our community. And most recently, we worked with Rosalitas and taking over the old Schnucks there at Mexico Road and Highway K that had sat empty for 3, 4, 5 years. And by being able to use a community improvement district, we were able to help them make that acquisition, make that major investment to bring in Harbor Freight and also their 14,000 square foot restaurant that's going to have seating for 400, outdoor patio space. It's going to be a great project that they hope to get open by April. That particular location, the reason we used the CID was that there was already a TDD, a Transportation Development District, in that development when it originally happened. So this is a way that we're able to use both of those tools to get that building back online and a viable contributor to our community.
All right, you mentioned two different things, CID and TDD. Can you expand on both of those and what those are and how they're beneficial?
Yeah, and Alexis can definitely help with that too. CIDs, Community Improvement Districts, TDDs, Transportation Development Districts, are tools that the city can help a developer create. It's a brand new taxing district. And then we set the parameters for what that district can do, the length of time that exists, the amount of money or benefit they can get for public improvements, and even what the type of benefits or tools that they use within those CID or TDD. In this case, in most cases, we limit it to sales tax only, up to 1%.
Okay.
So for a $100 purchase at Rosalita's, you would pay $1 in a CID. That then those monies are used for public improvements, streets, parking lots, utilities, landscaping, security, all the things that you see on the outside that benefit the public in addition to the business. And they're able to recover those monies that they spend up front, which can be significant, through a tool that can go for 10, 15, 20 years long that then enables them to collect those monies and repay back that debt that was created by those investments.
You talk about public improvement. It's limited to what improves the public, right? I mean,
Right.
it's not a...
It's not for anything in the building.
It's not an extra income
They can't put it in their own pocket. No.
Okay.
It's monies that they have to spend on public improvements that we monitor and track, and it's only a reimbursement for those costs that they bear up front.
Now, by district, I'm assuming you have a geographical
defined
map, right? It's this anything inside that,
right?
Or just that one business?
Well, everything within that particular geographic district that they establish that we agree upon as a city, anything that is sales tax generating within that. In the case, again, Rosalitas, they were able to dedicate about 15,000 square feet for Harbor Freight. As Harbor Freight makes sales, they collect that 1 cent sales tax that then help contribute to those public improvements.
Okay. And TDD, traffic improvements such as roads,
correct,
sidewalks,
crosswalks, bridges,
stoplights, anything.
Yep,
So if a development went into a major intersection area and it needed a stoplight, some kind of controlled access, it would pay for that improvement.
We're working on a project now that Alexis is doing a lot of work on, and we're looking at setting up a CID right there on Bryan Road.
Okay.
But it's clear that we're going to need a lighted intersection at the Justice Center there on Bryan Road. And this CID will enable us to then, that developer, to collect the monies and make that investment to create that lighted intersection there, which will improve public safety, traffic flow, support that development, and then get paid back over the length of the CID.
Right. On top of the workshop you just recently did for the city council, I had seen an article in the St. Louis Business Journal talking about an abatement to a project. Is that the one you're mentioning that's on Bryan Road?
Yes.
Right. Can you tell us a little more about what that project is? And I guess explain to the listeners and the viewers what, we're talking about, a tax abatement, and then how that individual thing could benefit. The benefit turns in, or the abatement turns into benefit. Right. I guess explain that process.
Yeah, this is a fairly complicated project because it's a big project, and we have a private developer that's willing to put in millions and millions of dollars of their own monies into creating a sports complex, 168,000 square foot building that will help provide for 6 basketball courts, 12 volleyball courts, pickleball, indoor turf fields. I mean, these are the kind of things that are happening in cities all around us. It's a private investment, though. And if you were asked to make this kind of investment with the idea that you were going to get your return 20, 30 years down the road, you would say, no, I can put my millions of dollars into the bank in a savings account and make money annually versus putting all that money up front with the expectation I'm going to get paid back in the long run. And so through a partnership and working with this developer, we've been able to offer tax abatement tools, as we talked about, CID, TDD, to help them recover a lot of that public infrastructure cost that they're going to be in public improvements that they're going to have to make. That the tax abatement is on a building that is going to not create any new additional burden on the school district, and yet create development around it that is going to be taxed at 100%, that they are going to get benefit from. So we're talking in total about $100 million investment with all the buildings that are going to be created and the outlots and that are going to be filled. And at the same time, we're providing maybe somewhere in the range of about $500,000 in tax abatements on that building that right now is paying $120 a year in property taxes.
Because there's nothing there.
There's nothing there.
So earlier you mentioned the net gain.
Right.
This is all about net gain. So right now there's nothing there.
Right.
Nothing collecting property tax.
Correct.
So when you talk about abatement, the taxing districts are foregoing collecting that tax.
Right.
Correct.
For a period of time.
But right now they're collecting $120 a year.
In total, it's about $20,000.
Okay.
city itself is collecting $120 of that. So that money is divided over all the taxing districts. So the school district, I suspect, is somewhere in maybe $8,000-9,000 range at this point. When you add up then $100 million of capital investment, of which about half or 40% of that is tax abated, all the remaining parts, that will create $100,000 more in new property taxes for the school district, and about that same equal amount for the rest of the taxing districts involved.
Theoretically, or on paper, when this development is done, the property tax, the sales tax revenue will be a lot higher than what the abatement is.
Correct.
And also, it's a $120 a year property tax to the city now.
And it's clear to us, Tony, this would not happen without these incentive tools, without these mechanisms to help recover some of those costs that they're going to have to incur. You're talking about, if you try to look at it, they're making this much now with the idea they can make this much in the future.
Right. And you mentioned, like, again, net gains. The school district's a great example. Nobody's living there. Nobody's sending kids to the schools, but yet the schools are going to be able to pay for books, technology, building upgrades, all those things with this kind of money.
It's applied to a building that's not going to create any additional burden on the school district, any additional burden on the library district, any additional burden on emergency services, beyond like fire and they actually do get paid. So, we think it's a very effective tool. It's used across the state of Missouri. It's used there's a data center project now that they're looking at billions of dollars of investment and enabling them to provide some sort of, and basically it's going on to farmland.
Is that here in O'Fallon?
No.
So the data center's not in
No,
O'Fallon.
You're right. Be careful there. But it's an example of how these tools are used across the state of Missouri effectively, and creating new growth opportunities, development opportunities, job opportunities, capital investment, at the same time providing for the taxing districts at some level, with the idea that in the future they will then get 100%.
You mentioned a statewide, and so this is not an O'Fallon only type of incentive. No. This is happening. This is how cities manage, and this is how businesses develop.
These tools were created by the state of Missouri. Our elected officials at the state level are what created these tools that we're enabled to use. Because of O'Fallon's size, because O'Fallon is very successful in terms of its economic growth, some of those tools are very limited to us. So as Alexis has worked on, we have basically about 4 tools that we can use to affect long-term economic growth in this community.
Okay.
And we are in a very, very competitive situation. It's not like O'Fallon is the sink well where all development is coming. We're competing against Wentzville, St. Peters, Warrenton, St. Louis County, Kansas City, other cities across the United States for these projects. And these projects could go anywhere. As I mentioned earlier, Cosmos, Dynaflex could have gone anywhere with their headquarters. And we were able to use these tools to be effective to get them here.
I don't want to dig at a wound if there is one, but have there been times when you've tried to incentivize and they went to St. Peters or went to Wentzville? Like, can you think of?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There's a clear example of Menards was going to go into O'Fallon, and ultimately it wasn't able to work out the deal that they required, and ultimately chose to pick a location in Wentzville. It has not come to fruition yet, but that one still is a sore wound. How many years later? 8 or 9. There's definitely examples.
And again, on paper, Wentzville is going to benefit the city. The school districts are going to benefit from that business being there and not here.
Right.
Okay. How do you decide which projects truly deserve incentives?
You want to get that?
I don't know that one is deserving over another. It's whether or not they qualify for specific incentives. So as Patrick mentioned, we typically offer, there's 4 different types. The Chapter 100 the Community Improvement District, the Transportation Development District, and then our cooperation agreements or shared revenue. And so it will be based on the application, the type of business that's coming in, what benefit it provides to the city in terms of job creation, job growth, how it will help us reach our comprehensive plan goals, our strategic plan goals, and then ultimately the goals for the city to ensure that we are maintaining a balanced economy, because ultimately that's what our goal is in terms of using incentives, is to ensure that we're not relying on just one large piece, that the economy is balanced through incentives and the other tools that we have available.
And this is what Alexis put together as part of this revised economic development policy for incentives is, that criteria say these are what we are looking for and what we are trying to achieve with these incentives. And so that's what we presented to the council and workshop, and we'll be utilizing that new policy moving forward.
And so when we talk about tax abatements and these different incentives, right, the taxpayer, the resident looks at how do we know this is a good, we use this the right way? So what, are there metrics that taxpayers can use or look at to know whether or not this incentive was worthwhile and paid off?
Well, yeah. These projects I mentioned earlier and the 3 or 4 others that are very similar, we have metrics in terms of job creation. So each one is required to create a certain number of jobs and maintain those jobs moving forward through the life of the incentive. And that's something that Alexis monitors on an annual basis. They have to submit reports, performance reports. In the case of a CID and TDD, it's kind of if they don't create sales tax, they don't get the benefit of it. But at the same time, by creating sales tax, the city benefits that then we can pay for the services that we provide to our residents. So every time a sale is created within that CID, that district, or a TDD district, the city is collecting those sales tax monies that then it can pay for the services that are essential to our residents.
Would you call them stipulations? I mean, is that another word? I mean,
yeah. So
it's not a business. Hey, I want to open a business here, and if you give me all the tax breaks and a handout, then I'll come here. Like, hey, we'll help get your development going, but there's going to be some things like you have to be a good partner. It sounds like be a good partner in the community, invest in the community, create jobs, and make sure it's part of the comprehensive plan.
I kind of boil it down to what motivates the individual, right? The developer, the business owner. And first, we take a show me approach. Show me what you have done, and you will get the benefit from that. Show me if you've created capital investment, and you'll get the tax abatement from that. And that's a long-term investment that will be there for 40, 50 years, right? Or show me if you've created retail sales that you will get the benefit of a CID or TDD, of which we will get the same benefit too. Now, by doing this, that business owner, you're saying to him, look, go out and be successful. Go create retail sales. Rosalitas, Harbor Freight, sell hundreds of millions of dollars, because your success is our success.
Right.
If you don't create any sales, you don't get any benefit. We're not out anything. And if the business closes, then we have a renovated space to now put another business into.
And as a municipal government, it's taxpayer funded, and what helps pay for road improvement and street improvements are these businesses.
Public safety, snow removal.
Are all paid for.
Trash removal, parks, athletic field. I mean, it's all paid through the collection of those sales tax revenues.
And I'm probably like most of the listeners right now. I assume that the business just comes on to Highway K, Brian Rose, and hey, I want to put you're out there working. And if you guys are not doing this, then it becomes desolate and it dries up.
It drives us crazy, but everybody wants a Raising Cane's in O'Fallon, okay? Well, it would be great if they would just come. But they're looking at their marketplace. They're looking at where their other store locations are and everything else. It's very competitive in terms of where these businesses end up. It's not as if O'Fallon is the only community in this county that they would then come into. And so, we're out there we're out there working hard every day to try to get those businesses, the Raising Cane's, the Trader Joe's, or whatever else, the Portillo's or whatever else you want. But yet we're competing against other communities that are doing the same thing. Right. We're competing against the marketplace. We're trying to fit the long-term growth plans and strategies of those businesses. And so it's a fine line of trying to make all those things come together at one place in time. And sometimes it takes maybe offering an incentive to get that deal done.
Your department recently hired an economic development projects coordinator.
A very good one.
Which is Alexis Jaegers here.
Yeah.
I apologize. I think I called you the special project earlier on the intro, but you're the development projects coordinator person, right, to manage these incentive programs. Tell us more about what that is and how that looks for the department.
Patrick's covered a lot of what it is that I do in terms of, working a project from start to finish. So working with interested, working with our business recruiter, Megan Baucom, working with Patrick, and if there is a business that's interested in coming into the city, if they're interested in incentives, what that might look like, what they'd be eligible for, navigating the lengthy application process and vetting process. And then ultimately, I think the most important piece is, if they are approved and when they are approved for the various incentives, that I am a point person for them. So for the city to ensure that they're remaining compliant with the measures that are outlined in the agreements, but then also making sure they're good stewards of our community. So they've received this incentive. Yes, we're receiving economic benefit and revenue from the new tax generation, but they're also located here in O'Fallon, and we want them to become engaged members of our community. Sure. Okay. And so it's the twofold of making sure they're following the rules, which they all do. I think there's this misnomer that, the businesses are going to come in and take our tax money and we are going to be out all of this funding and there's no compliance measures, when in fact there's very strict compliance measures, and it's our responsibility to ensure that they're conveyed and that they're upheld.
All right.
Alexis kind of cuts herself short a little bit in that she's working with our legal counsel, our bond counsels. She has hundreds and hundreds of documents that she has to go through to set these things up and continue to require that compliance to that. So it's a lot of work in terms of how these things are done and potentially maintained over a 10 or 20-year period. So she's been a great addition to our team and very valuable in terms of a lot of these negotiations on these kind of projects we're working on.
So it sounds like there are safeguards, clawback provisions in there.
There are.
That help make sure that businesses are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
And again, if you take an approach of show me, you perform and then we reward, versus giving any type of upfront incentives or any upfront dollars or support, then we know that it happened and therefore we can reward you for that.
I want to throw out a term here for you guys. Let you guys decide who wants to answer this. All right. Critics will use the term corporate giveaway.
Yeah.
How do you answer that when it comes to economic incentives?
Well, I've heard that term for probably my whole career, which has expanded 4 decades now. And I can understand. And let me just throw out the Kansas City Chiefs as a good example of this, right? The Kansas City Chiefs are $1 billion operation. They're owned by a billionaire. Do they really need the incentives to do that? But I think in our particular case, if you narrow that down, we've worked with projects that, they're out there struggling every day to be successful. They're dealing in, they're watching every penny. Every $10 is important to them, not billions of dollars. And in those particular cases, yes, I think it's important that we find a way to work with them and help them partner to be successful. A Rosalita's, that's another example of, hey, the benefit that you're going to bring to our community by us enabling us to do this is going to be pay off tenfold.
Right.
And so, yes, we are providing some financial or in most cases, maybe some regulatory benefit to you as a corporation, but yet you are making a major $1 million investment in our community, and you're bringing with that the long term. Tony, we had a project that we provided Chapter 100 on, and before we had that deal done, they were already planning their expansion, which is paying 100% property tax here in O'Fallon.
Yeah.
So by making the initial investment that we did at a low amount, it's already paid dividends by that business growing, doubling in size. And that's the kind of things we're trying to leverage.
So we mentioned the term corporate and billionaire with the chiefs, things like that, and Rosalita's, but are these only for large employers, these incentives? And what about a small business, I guess?
Right. I was going to say unfortunate, but that's not the right word. What we're trying to do with our very limited tools and very limited dollars that we have available to us is leverage that to the greatest extent. And in most cases, small businesses can't make the kind of investment or pay that long-term benefit that's going to be created by using these tools. It's a very expensive process to set up a Chapter 100 deal. If you're not making a $5, $6, $7 million investment at a minimum, the amount of money you're going to pay up front is going to your benefit is not going to be that great. It's not going to really be even worth it. So that really limits the ability of a lot of small businesses to participate in these programs. For things like the cooperation agreement we talked about earlier, we've got to see gains from the city, and most small businesses are not going to create that kind of $100 million in sales that are going to then produce the kind of benefit we want to see by coming into that agreement. So they're not excluded from it. It's just that the threshold to get there and the type of benefit we want to see by using these tools far exceeds their capabilities or what they can take on and make happen.
Okay.
But can I just say at the same time, there are other things outside the city that can assist a small business administration, Justine Peterson. There's other organizations that work with small businesses that can help benefit them and provide those kind of I don't want to say incentives, but support that enables them to be successful. Yeah,
I think it's also important to mention too, it's maybe not so much bringing in small business, but Patty Brown, who works in your department, does a great job with business retention.
Yes.
And a lot of that focuses on the small, what we call the Main Street mom and pop size business to make sure
she makes 400 to 500 business touches annually, and she's out there working with those businesses you've talked about, and she does a great job giving it all to those businesses and helping get them the kind of support and helping them network and find the resources that they need to be successful.
All right. So what's next for the department, and then for incentive program? Where do you go next?
Yeah. Now that we've revised this, updated our policies, we're continuing to look at opportunities to be able to use those economic development tools. We've got a real focus on, as per our strategic plan for this city, on sports tourism. City's making a major, and we've talked about this before on this program, about their major investment in turfing the fields at Ozzie Smith. So how can we utilize that? Working closely with our O'Fallon Convention and Visitors Bureau to help leverage our transit guest tax dollars to make sure that those dollars are creating the kind of return we want to see. And then, again, Alexis's work with all the existing CIDs, TDDs, Chapter 100 projects that we have to make sure that those businesses continue to grow. As I said earlier, about one that we helped and they grew before they even opened their doors, we've got other projects that we can continue to support and find ways to help. Now that we're working with them, Aldi be another good example of how do we grow beyond 80 jobs and make that 100, 120 jobs in the future.
New year, new focus. Anything you can give us a little preview on, maybe restaurant-wise? When's Rosalita's opening?
April
of 2026.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. In time for Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
There
we go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What else? There's a new one on Highway K, the old pasta house.
Oh,
Papos.
Papos?
Yeah.
Okay, is that coming?
I have never been to a Papos, but I hear that people who go down the lake really enjoy it and think it's great. So we're excited about that one. we've got this sports complex project with coming along. We've got 1 hotel under construction, 3 in the works, planning wise. So yeah, a lot of good activity going on right now, and we think 2026 is going to be an exciting year,
a banner year for you.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else I didn't bring up that you would like to let residents and listeners know about when it comes to these programs or just business in general?
Well, as I said in earlier programs, it starts from the starts from the top in terms of the direction and the focus that our elected officials set for us, down through leadership, and then to our department level and saying, go out there and make good things happen. And so that's really kind of what we're trying to make sure that we do here. And the other thing about that, we're just the point of the spear. There are 100 people behind us in the various departments, whether it's engineering, planning, building and safety, public safety, communications, wherever else in this organization, that help support and make those things happen. So we get the benefit of being out there out front,
right?
But there is tremendous amount of work that's done behind the scenes that people don't really get to see. That's what actually make these projects come to fruition.
Okay.
Yeah.
One last shameless plug for you. This is your second time on the show.
Yeah.
So really good.
I'm going to be a 5-time.
Yeah, SNL gives jackets for 5.
I want a smoking jacket. Yeah,
right. You're the Bob Euchre of O'Fallon Life on Air so far. When I call, you come, so that's good.
That's right.
No, last time we mentioned, I want to mention again, selectofallon.com.
Yes.
If you're a small business, medium business, large corporation, and you're looking to locate, you can check out selectofallon.com for all the information that your department has, and how to get here and what we can do to help you. We
just refreshed that website with your staff help, and we're excited to continue to push out the message about how great a place O'Fallon is.
Sounds good. Well, again, thank you guys both for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
And again, thank you for listening and watching. Make sure you click like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, however you're listening today. And thank you again to Patrick McKeehan and Alexis Jaegers for being here. And until next time, thank you, O'Fallon.